We are live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Catfish Weekly, along with the host with the most, Mr. Lyle Stokes. We got Josh Dunnigan, also known as the Weekend Angler, also known as Little Goldberg. Steve Austin? Nothing? Okay.
I'll go with
Anyway,
Steve. I like
all
Steve.
right. You do have that stone cold look every once in a while, mostly when we talk about really intelligent things and you don't know what we're talking about, but that's okay because you're going to educate us tonight on some stuff that maybe I don't know about. Lyle might know a little bit. I mean,
I am quite certain that Lyle knows about this.
he just might know a thing or two. But before we unleash Little Baldberg, we're going to say hi to all our beautiful people in chat. They're slowly pouring in here. I think we threw them off with a thumbnail tonight. They thought this was a fishing and stuff.
They might, yeah.
We got Thompson Outdoor and More. What's going on, Josh? We got Mr. Mike Sampson, James Dockery Fishing, Benoit Fishing Outdoors, Mr. Mike Irvin, Wabash Nate. That's it. That's all it said hi in chat so far.
Wow.
I think it's
finally
getting people out here. And there's Miss Cindy Stokes. There's
Dan had a really good video out this week.
Did he?
Yes.
I have not seen much at all. There was one video I finally got to watch the other day. I don't remember which one it was. They're starting to come in.
Mark,
we got
Catfish and Crappie.
Catch Fish with us. We got member Mark from Catfish and Crappie. Mr. Bill Arnold.
We started on time, and
that's probably what it was. So I'm sure we'll slowly but surely get some more people in here in the next couple of minutes. It'll jump up. It'll jump up. So, Josh, what do you got in store for us here tonight?
Well, I tell you what, I have been needing to rebuild the carburetors on. I've been chasing a rabbit through this outboard that's on this on that bayliner of mine. Okay. And what I've been running into is it starts fine, it idles fine. You take off, you'll run wide open throttle, and everything will be all right. And then after you've run wide open throttle for a little while, it will you'll lose about 800 to 1,000 RPM. It's like you're dropping a cylinder. And so I've been chasing it. Verified it's not a spark thing. It's not a compression thing. That only leaves fuel. And so I've been redoing all the fuel lines. Well, I got to look at it. It's been since July the 3rd of 2016 since these carburetors have been touched.
Wow.
So that means it's time to go ahead and tear them down, check them out. And the fact that the boat's set as long as it has, any fuel that was in here varnished anyway. So these things are going to have to be cleaned out.
That they probably do.
So I've already got one tore apart.
All right.
It's sitting in the carburetor dip. And we've got one. I've got another one of the three on the bench. We'll be able to tear that one down. About the time we get that one tore down, we'll be ready to go ahead and check the other one out and hopefully find our problem in here. So,
all right. Well, Catfish and Crappie dropped the $10 super chat. Says in honor of pleasure boat season being over.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, pleasure boating season, for being over. So
that's right. What's up, River Rat 3030?
Now, if it was just over 100%,
yeah,
much better.
I don't think it ever ends 100%.
No, it don't. It don't.
It gets pretty close around here. I want to say
it'll be too, but it don't end. It never stops 100%. It's like sea dudes.
Chad does. He probably need to clean his glasses. What's up, hooks and hammocks? Small water charters.
Them sea-doo guys will just put on a wetsuit and climb on them things in the middle of the winter.
Yeah. Lake life.
If it has to be one of us, it might as well be them and not me.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Beal, Bugman 22. What's going on, fellas?
Don't think you'd look right in a wetsuit, Lyle.
Odd shaped.
just seen somebody else. There's Lisa, burrito catfishing lady. All right. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Josh. Let's go ahead and
do it.
Well, what's going on? My fan over here started howling. So
shut it, Dockery.
Let me change the cameras here.
There we go.
Now, Josh, correct us if I'm wrong here, but you're working on a 200 Mercury, is that correct?
This one is a 150 Mercury.
150.
But this is the one off the Bayliner, but all of your V6 Mercuries run the same or ran the same carburetor setup. So they're slight differences between the carbs themselves, depending on different idle jets and different jetting. But as far as tear down and rebuild, they're all about the same. So we're going to start out. I don't know if you guys can. It's hard to see it, but it's marked 713 or 73 is 16 on that. So we're gonna. Good thing is I can kind of see make sure everything stays in view of the camera. But we're just going to do a slow tear down on this. We're going to be checking a few things. I'm not convinced that I'm not having issues with the float, which is on the bottom of the carburetor. So when we get down there, we're going to be paying extra attention to it. This top cover here is where all your idle circuit is. This is where all your mixing takes place. So we'll just pop that off. Try to. Get it there. Can't get to it. There it goes. All right. So gasket on that top plate. Nothing too fancy about the top plate. There's our idle circuit. And these are kind of neat little carburetors. These are there's 3 of these on a V6 Mercury. And they act like single barrel carbs. So each cylinder has its own 1 barrel carb going to it. So you've got separate idle circuits for each one. And you can see all those little holes right there. Try to get them where the light shines through. Okay,
I see them.
Go. But you've got things like that. That is your areas that'll cause you trouble. So like if you don't take that top plate off and you just let this go, and let's say this is all varnished up full of old fuel, you're going to start your motor and you're going to have issues with it not wanting to idle. And that's usually where that's at. So we can, behind there is the idle jet. That's where fuel's pulled through.
What's going on, Jody?
Hey, Jody.
All right.
Oh, hello back to James, too.
The old gaskets are just going to throw them in the trash. I got a whole new gasket set. Don't ever count on being able to reuse a gasket. Gasket sets are cheap. They're like, for these carbs, it's like $7. So you throw the old trash into the old stuff in the trash. Go from there. Let me get I know I got one.
You guys are just mean.
There's that idle jet. Right in the middle there. And I got a flashlight just.
So an idle jet's just a hole?
Idle jet's just a hole.
Huh. Okay. I thought it was going to be something fancy.
You can see that one's clean. You can see that one's clean.
Now, are those jets removable on that?
Those are, but a lot of the time on these, see, they are so far down in that. Oh, that really messed with the camera. They're so far down inside there. They're a good 5/16 of an inch down inside this. A lot of the time, if you go in there and you start trying to unscrew them, they've set up residence anyway, and they will you'll break them or something like that. Then you got to drill the thing out and try to get a new one in. It's a pain in the neck. So that's where your flashlight comes in handy, and your eyes. And you just put that in there. You can look through, and then once it comes out of the carburetor dip, we're going to blast this with air anyway. And we're going to go one way and then the other way. So any piece of trash that was in there, it's going to come out. So we'll flip over now. We've got our main jet. This is where all your fuel comes through when your motor wound up. And the good thing I've already done is verify that all of the jets on this carburetor, or every jet throughout the carb, is the same. So there's no having to keep them separate. Make sure you know which one is going, but that's not always the case. So they will, if you start taking jets out, you want to make sure that you're putting them back in the cylinder where they go, or you're really going to have some trouble. But there's our main jet. I don't know if it's gonna.
There you go, right there.
There it goes. So we can kind of see through there.
Mr. Brandon Cross.
Now we're going to take that jet out, just so I can show you guys what it looks like. Let's get that in there. Take a screwdriver. Yeah, let's flip over to the other side.
I've seen.
If I drop one of these jets, Chad, mute me real quick.
I got it on the mute right there. Okay.
Just saying. There we go. Yeah, you can really see through that jet.
Oh yeah.
So we'll set that aside. We'll set this. Same thing with the other side. It's just working slow. And there is nothing to rebuilding a two-stroke carburetor. Anybody can do it. You just got to go slow. Take your time. It doesn't take even a whole lot of tools. You know, a small socket set and this is one of those multi-bit screwdrivers. And that thing would be enough to get me through most of it. Now we could tear this down real far, but we're not going to. I don't think there's a reason to. There's no real reason to take our butterflies off. We'll be able to clean those up in the dip. You can see some corrosion on there, especially right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming off pretty easy. We're going to take a brush to that and knock that off. These will be good and clean. So jets are done. Let's take the bottom off, and we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at those floats. Now, when you do have multiple carburetors, I should have covered this at the beginning, but if you have multiple carburetors, take you a scratch awl or something, screwdriver, whatever you got to do, and mark them. So this is the M, this is the middle carb. Top one has a T, and the bottom one obviously have a B on it.
That's smart. Now, Josh, when you say float, now you're not talking about the same kind of floats that Lyle uses for bass fishing, right?
Maybe. I mean, Lyle was a mechanic. It would not I wouldn't put it past him. But no, probably not.
Probably not.
What's up, Joshua Peril, Greg Burgess, Dan Brewer, Mark Barnum. That is a left-handed screwdriver, things could go wrong, Chad.
Yep.
The thing about the floats, Chad, on most any carburetor ever made, as it rises and falls due to the amount of fuel in it, it controls what they call a needle and seat, and it's the needle and seat is what shuts the fuel from going in and out of whatever capacity there is.
Gotcha.
So there's our float right there. Now this is new enough that it has a plastic float. You start messing with some of the older motors, and they will have a cork float that's coated in varnish, basically.
Really?
And over time, the fuel will eat it up.
Yep.
And so if you get in there and you have one of those, plastic floats are cheap. These things are pretty well impervious to the fuel, and these last a lot longer. So what Lyle was saying, the float controls fuel coming into the carburetor. Now, if this, okay, motor Q&A, we have a 1957 Johnson Seahorse, says to run SAE 30 half pint oil to 1 gallon gas, 16 to 1, 24 to 2021, which is better. I run 50 to 1 on everything. You're not going to hurt yourself running a little bit rich on oil. And all that's going to do over time is it's going to foul your plugs a lot faster. But spark plugs are a heck of a lot cheaper than piston rings and cylinder walls. So if you got to put a new plug in it every season, old twin cylinder, something like that, costs you $10 for plugs. Do that and run your motor forever. So run it at 20 to 1, 16 to 1, somewhere in there. But that, yeah, that would be, you just got to kind of watch that. There for a while, if you see any that have 100 to 1, there were some that came out and they said 100 to 1 and they were burning them up. And it was a Johnson Evinrude thing, and they came out with a service bulletin that said run them at 50 to 1. And there's supposed to be a sticker over that 100 to 1, but the sticker falls off. So if you see one says 100 to 1, don't listen to it. Run 50 to 1. Be happy and run your motor. So all right, we'll take a look. This is where the fuel comes in on this carburetor through this fuel line here. And it runs along this rail. That's all open behind there. There's a plug that's red Loctited in. You never take that out. You just leave it. But right underneath, and I'm going to show them to you here in a second, but right underneath this is the needle. Now, when the float's in the down position like it is right now, fuel will come in, and it will come in through this needle being lifted, and it will fill this area here, which is called the bowl. As the bowl fills, the float will rise. It floats in the fuel. And you can see, watch right here, this little tab is going to push that needle down as this float rises up. So there it goes. It presses that down. With that down, it won't let any more fuel in this motor or in this carburetor. And then when it needs more, it'll start to sink down, and it will go from there. So if you're having flooding, if you're having, let's say you prime your motor, get ready to start it, and fuel is just spraying out of the front of the carburetor, 10 to 1, you've got either a piece of trash stuck up there in that needle seat, or your float's filled and it's sinking, and that's your flooding condition right there. So we'll move the carb body over. We're going to take out these floats.
I'll say hi to member Danny Stone Outdoors real quick and Creole Catfishing.
Let's see here. Get those. That one.
Bill Arnold says sticky needles or dirty seats is usually where you'll find your carb problems on an outboard that is set for a while.
Yep. I actually found one when I took the first carburetor apart before the show that's sitting in the carburetor dip, because I wanted to have one cleaned and ready to reassemble, and this one has to soak too long to do that in the show. So when I took it apart, the float was about halfway stuck, and it wouldn't go up and it wouldn't go down. And I think that could be my problem. It would be just enough to cause a flooding condition when you're running at wide open throttle. So, knock on wood, hopefully I found my problem. But let's get that needle out of there. Save these, because unless you buy the expensive kit, it will not come with a new needle or seat. There's a needle.
Now, Josh, do you inspect the seat, the needle and the seat part real well on those?
Yep, and I tell you what, it was a whole lot easier 15 years ago when my eyes were better. But
yeah.
But really, what you want to see, I'm gonna see if I can find a.
Does that have a rubber tip on the end of it, or is it solid brass?
No, it's metal.
Okay.
It's just solid. It's just it's shiny. But it does have some, like, a black coloration to it. I imagine if it wore, that black would go away.
Sure.
But we've got let's try it. Oh, okay. Doesn't like that at all. But yeah, that needle's in good shape. It's real pointy. It's not gouged. So we know that one will work. And we'll test that here in a minute too. When we put one back together, we're going to test the needles and make sure they work. I'll show you an easy way to do that. Right there's the seat. That's what the needle goes into. And we're actually going to take that out, because sometimes they like to get a little trash behind them. You'll need a big flathead screwdriver for that. The bigger, the better. And be real easy with it, because it's brass. You will break it. All right, there's our other float. Now their needle. Set that needle down. Come here, seat. There it goes. So we got our needle seat. I like that this camera focuses up good. And that's good. And you can see the blue through it.
Does that have a gasket seal around the bottom of that seat?
It does.
Okay.
It's got a, let's see if we can get in there and we're going to separate that anyway here in a minute. But you can see that. Oh, come on. Focus up here. You can see that black right there. That's gasket material. So we'll take that off here in a minute and clean it up. Another little piece of gasket there. And once you've done your carburetors a few times, you'll know where everything goes. You don't really have to save your gaskets, but the first couple times you do it, it don't cost you nothing to take pictures. Take photos as you take it apart. Take photos of everything.
That's one of the great things about new phones.
Yeah, photos are free. So we've got, get over there. We can see through that one pretty good.
Yep.
So it didn't seem like we were having any trouble at all getting fuel into the carburetor, because the motor ran too good at mid-range and idle and everything else. And it would get up to 5,800 RPM on wide open throttle. So I don't think we were having any issues at all with not getting enough fuel. I think our issue lied in getting too much. So needle's in good shape on that one. Put that with the other needle, that way don't get lost. Go ahead and inspect your floats.
Now, Josh, some of those plastic floats like that, if they're leaking, you can actually see gas inside of them.
Yes. And it's if you get one that's been leaking and you think you have one that's leaking, you can get you a don't float them in water either, because water is a different density than gasoline. Get you some 2-stroke gas, put it in a little container, not styrofoam. But you'll thank me for not using styrofoam. But just float it in there, and if you don't let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, if it stays at the top, you're good. If it sinks, throw it in trash. They're cheap. It's a whole lot cheaper than being stranded. But this one,
yes,
was in good shape. This was in good shape. If you think you got an area, just kind of wipe on it a little bit. That tab, the angle of that tab right there, controls where that float stops. And
so don't bend it.
Well, don't bend it. Leave it alone. Each carburetor is going to have its own way of getting that set. But we don't want to. We're not going to get that in depth on this. Just leave those alone and find your service information, and it'll tell you what all you got to have. So,
Grill saying submerging a float in a cup of gas and look for the bubbles.
Look for the bubbles. You'll know in a hurry. So we've got a carburetor that's all tore apart now. This little T, I know I didn't address it. That's exclusive to the Mercury thing here. This is for the enricher. Instead of a choke, it's got a little valve that it's operated by 12 volts, a little solenoid. And when you press in the key to choke, it opens this valve. It allows fuel to run. And that fuel goes down here through this little port and lets the motor suck up that fuel right there when you're starting it. So helps you, especially cold start. Absolutely helps on cold starts. But so this one is taken apart. I am going to move this out of the way. And the other one has been in the dip long enough to that it's ready to go. So I said in the dip and nobody could see it. So give me just a second here.
Okay. Josh, while you're doing that, I just wanted to let you know that for some reason I've got several emojis, and I don't feel like I've did or said anything wrong to this person. But
I think you did. I don't know what's
your wire there. There you go.
There we go. That's the best stuff I've ever used. This Berryman carb dip.
Oh yeah.
I think they changed the formula on it a few years ago. I don't know that it's as good as it used to be. There's right my big old arm. And it used to be some real good stuff, but it's still not bad.
Danny Stone said he had a neighbor that was going to throw away a motor because it wouldn't run. He gave it to Danny. The plastic float had a crack in it. He said he had it running in about an hour, and he ended up giving it back to him. But basically, the real story behind that is Danny talked to that motor for an hour, and that motor just wandered back home.
Give up.
He's like, oh my God.
Give up.
I bought a motor once from a dude. He had a John boat and a motor, and he said the motor didn't run, and he wanted $200 for all of it. And I asked him if he would sell the motor separate, and he said he would. And I went over and looked at this motor because he said it had been running the year before, and I paid him $100, which is what he asked for that motor. and I brought it home and I put it on the motor stand and I took it out of reverse and I put fuel on it and fired it right up. He swore up and down. Oh yes, Creole is absolutely 100% correct there. So we're going to move this.
Hell yeah, it's a great investment. I mean, I saw Fishing and Stuff put an old Abu 5600 in it and came out as Abu 7000. I mean, those things are freaking awesome. Awesome.
You can put a Ford 5.0 in there and it'll come out of 5.3.
Oh, Josh.
Oh my God.
All right.
They come out a 7.3 Godzilla motor. I'm in.
Well, okay. I'll give you that one. All right. So let's switch colors here. Here, microphone. All right. Put the carburetor body back here. And we're going to get the other one out of the carburetor dip. Open up view.
Christina. Christina says, advice. Have your own set of bowls and tubs just for projects like this so you don't have to borrow your wife's bowls out of the kitchens for your rinse.
Yeah. Well, typically I wouldn't rinse this in a bowl anyway. I take all the parts and I take them in and I wash them in the bathroom sink when they come out of the carb dip. I like that running water, but we're not carting the camera around to the bathroom and everything else. So,
no, I don't need to see where you do number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, we're not going to the bathroom on Catfish Weekly. So.
That's why he didn't buy the boat with the crapper.
So we got that. I'm just going to let all the carb dip kind of drain out of this thing. So it's a good thing about this stuff. You get to reuse it.
Mark Barnum said, comes out a 5.3. It is a GM and might as well just sell it for scrap.
I agree 100%.
Advice, too, from Creole Catfishing. If you clean parts in the dishwasher, don't let your wife find out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How do you know that, Jeremy?
All right. So there's that thing. It's all covered in carb dip.
I used to buy that chem dip in 5-gallon buckets for automotive use. And you could usually get back in the day before fuel injection, you get about 6 months use out of it before it was wore out.
Before it was done, huh?
Yep. And then you clean valve covers and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Burgess. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
If it comes out a 5.3, you got yourself a free boat anchor. Oh, man, that was good.
All right.
Greg Burgess said, Lyle, quit hitting that one.
Sorry.
Josh, Greg Burgess says, Josh, that is all I use. That is all I will use to clean carbs. It cut varnish better than anything.
That is hands down the best stuff I've ever seen used or ever seen to use.
So Gregory,
when we bought them 5-gallon buckets full of that stuff back in the day, it would come with a basket that none of the parts would fall through.
Look at that guy. Lyle, do you remember that guy?
Hey, A and B.
It's Calvin.
Welcome, buddy.
All right, so we got everything coming out of the basket here. Well, made that water nasty in a hurry.
Yeah, but it's still better than how nasty you make that bathroom you wouldn't take us into.
Yeah, let me get a...
Lord have mercy, son.
All right, let me grab a brush real quick out of this drawer.
What does Christina mean when she says bug man? I gave up on getting my strainer back.
I don't know.
She had to buy a whole new one.
So we're going to take and we're just rinsing that off in that bowl. If we have any leftover gasket material, we're going to use a brush. This is a little stainless bristle brush. And we'll just take that right off there.
Bugman says he misses doing this kind of stuff. He just doesn't have the garage space for it now. What's up, Down East Tackle?
I had me a razor blade a minute ago. There it is. This old box cutter blade. I'm going to use that to just kind of take some of that off there.
KMB says Josh often wondered why his hamburger helper tasted extra oily.
I don't eat hamburger helper. Christina will confirm that. I will not eat hamburger helper.
I don't know if I've ever, the last time I ever had that. I like tuna helper though.
Nope. Okay. We ate that all the time when I was a kid. Now I'm old enough. I don't have to eat that. I ain't going to eat that.
Oh man, D loves it. If I make it for her anytime, eat the whole thing.
We didn't have no money, so we ate that several times a week growing up. Now I don't have to eat that no more.
Oh, you hear that, Lyle? Now we can say that you got to have that Josh Dunnigan money to buy all the good.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard, Lyle.
I knew that when he had 90 boats sitting in.
What's up, 205 Wild Action?
If I had Chad money, we'd eat steak every night. But
yeah,
that'd be okay. I got to tell you, if you check, you can go out and eat steak at a restaurant cheaper than you can buy it at a store.
Yeah.
Might not be quite the quality, but it's still cheaper.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Josh, do you know that that place across from the house that I am trying to acquire, right?
Yeah.
That you located on the map, but I didn't even notice. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is. But I was wanting to go by and steal a letter from that. I was going to steal the GR off of the sign.
That actually is they raise and sell like chicken and cattle.
Oh wow!
At the local shops. Yep. I'm like,
that'll be cool. So now we've got. Zoom in a little bit there.
Man, that looks brand new. Look at that.
Nice and clean.
You're so awesome at this. Lyle's looking at it like he can clean my carbs any day.
Absolutely. Back when I worked at a GM dealership in the late 1970s, quadrajets was the thing before they had fuel injection. Probably average 8 or 10 of them a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because, hell, they brand new, they didn't work right.
Do you remember that, Josh? Me neither.
What? Rebuilding a quadrajet? Yes.
No, I meant in the 70s. Doing it.
No, I don't remember the 70s, but I've rebuilt my fair share of quadrajets.
Oh yeah. All noise and no go.
Pretty much.
Hey.
I could think of something worse though, Lyle.
I don't know what it'd be.
You ever deal with crossfire injection?
Yes, I did. I didn't care much for that.
Okay. See?
Yeah. As much as I do love my Fords, they had that carburetors. They come out, had them rollers in the top of it. It was worse yet.
So let's take a look down. We're going to look down the fuel rail here if it'll let us.
Jump them things out of there, throw them in the trash, and put a holly on it.
Right there, right there. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Perfect. Very nice.
Go to the next one.
Up
There
just
we go.
right there.
Nice and clean in there.
Oh yeah.
Danny Stone said he had to step away for a minute. He had a cooler full of shad on the kitchen table. Had to get them up before she saw them.
Oh, Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Oh, God.
All right, so that's all cleared out. Let's check the there's the needle seats.
Hey, Gregory.
Good there. I think I got a brush to run through there too. So, yep. 97-cent brushes at Harbor Freight.
I was say there's a nifty little brush set right there.
So let's get the other seat out. Come here, you. Yep, there it goes. That one looks good. Run the brush through it just to make sure. All right. There's our holder for our main jet. It's got a little bit more, it's hard to see. It's got a little bit more gasket material on it than I would like. So we're going to work on that. There we go. You'll toughen up your fingers doing this too with a stainless brush.
Yes, you will. But they sure do some good job cleaning.
Oh, yeah.
Better than a brass brush, for sure.
Austin from Fishing Fever. What's going on, pal?
All right. Now look at that.
Awesome.
Nice and shiny. No gasket material. Oh, that's got some too. Let's fix that up.
Danny Stone says, you got 18 minutes to have this thing running. Clean it faster, Dunnigan.
Nope. See what you made me do, Danny? You made me catch myself with the brush. All right, let's see here. All right. There's one little spot on there that is not coming off, and I know it won't hurt anything.
Yes, it was a variable Venturi carb. It was a piece of junk.
What's that?
You had to set them with a water vacuum gauge.
Be careful not to over tighten anything. Yeah. Oh, pull up Creole's comment because he is 100% correct.
This one here. Whoop.
These parts are made of aluminum and brass. Be careful not to over tighten anything. Be gentle. Doesn't take much strip threads. No, it does not.
That is correct.
All right. So there's our other jet holder. That's got some grime on it. So we do before and after again. There's the before. Let's work this with.
Go ahead.
We'll work this with that.
I did watch a recent video of Austin's the other day. Enjoyed that very much.
He's an awesome little Amish fella.
Hadn't really thought of it like that, but
all right.
Yeah, you do him get along. He likes to bass fish sometimes too.
I don't like the bass fish.
Mm-hmm.
You do it an awful lot for not liking
Seems
it.
like it.
I know. Wow, look at the difference.
There we go.
That's how you can shine up your new boat when it gets dirty.
Ooh. Chad starts taking a stainless brush to that new boat. D's going to kill him.
Graveyard dead.
All right, so there's our jet, and I don't know that I have a brush even begin to be small enough to go through that. Maybe. Oh, yep. That one to go through. So that's all that needs. Come on.
B said nothing wrong with bass fishing. That's how he gets his bait. Wished I could use them for bait.
Mm-hmm.
I'd spend a lot more time chasing them.
Could you spend any more time chasing them?
Stop it.
That's what we're trying to tell you to do.
Stop it.
So we got our jet. Run the brush through it once just to be sure.
Hooks and him. H&H Vine Garb will shine it up.
Yep.
Nerd.
The old Vine Gar. Good. All right. That bowl of water looks like it done been used.
Well,
right, so now we're going to use a brass brush on the butterflies.
Now, Josh, just since you're so like intelligent and stuff, can you explain to anybody that may be out there watching the difference between the style brushes and what to use on where?
Okay. Brass brush, stainless brush, and usually your kit will have a nylon brush. Nylon's going to be the softest bristles. Brass be the medium. Stainless will be the hardest. Stainless will scratch brass and aluminum. Brass will not scratch brass. It'll just take and get a surface contaminants off of it. And that's all we want. We want the we wanted that little bit of crap off there. We could open our butterflies. It looks good in there. I don't see anything that's just sticking out at me. I am going to stick a rag down there and get some of that stuff out. Do you clean house? No, I draw the line at carburetors. All right, so that's good there. Get off there, brushes. Let's get that off there. That's really not an important gasket material there, but we'll take it off because we can. I'm just taking just a razor blade. And you do that, and you will eventually cut yourself, and it will bleed. So
you're just saying that because it's true.
It's true. Yeah, it's going to just admit that it's going to happen at some point.
That's right.
All right, so we've got all the pieces to our carburetor are now out. Everything. Oh, there's some more that needs. You just want to go through and get. You just want to go through and get any old gasket material off, because you want the new gasket to seal up good. So that one's good. That one's got some. That one's good. All right. Let me go grab the gasket kit, and then we are going to blow this thing out with air. So I'm going to mute myself while we do that. And this thing will go back together. Give me just a second here.
Fishing Fever says tweezers are also a great carb tool as well. So Lyle's is bringing back a lot of memories to your automotive days.
Yeah, they're Carburetors are basically the same, but different shapes, different sizes, but they all perform the same functions. Uh, Back in the day, they was carburetors and air conditioners and things like that was kind of my game. Electrical shorts, stuff that nobody else wanted to do.
Hmm.
They used to, if I remember right, they paid you 2.3 hours to take a carburetor off of a GM car, tear it completely down like Josh did them. Of course, there's a lot more parts in automotive carburetors than there is those boat carburetors. Clean it like he did, wash it, dry it, which that's what we use to dry it, what he's got right there. And then reassemble it, put it back on the car and adjust it. I think it was 3.2 hours to do all that. And like I say, several a week, every week.
Wow.
And you could until they started making everybody use unleaded fuel. The lead in the fuel was like a lubricant for all of the parts that run on each other, like the butterflies and all that stuff. It kept that from wearing those out. So during the Second World War, they made them. Gasoline never had lead in it. They put lead in it to make parts last longer and charged you more. And then in the 1970s, they decided that they would make unleaded gas, so they led you to believe that they was taking the lead out of the fuel, which it never had to start with, so they charge you more again.
Sounds about right.
Well, it's a fact. You can look it up.
Whatever they can do to charge you a little bit more.
Well, and I'm sure they'll come up with something else before long. Yeah, gasoline does not have gas or lead in it to begin with.
I still can't get over Danny saying something like that. That just confirmed everything I said in his live today.
Blow it out with air, you would be a good time to have. Oh, Danny.
Danny should appreciate the valuable education that this channel and this show provides to him and the audience, and not utilize it as a platform to come in and belittle me.
Harass people.
I would never.
But no worse than Dockery. Oh, man.
Ooh, excuse me. Austin
No,
says
you're right, Austin. It did. It used to, I can remember gas wars where when I was a kid, I wasn't old enough to drive, but 16.9 cents a gallon for gasoline.
Wow.
Yeah. Back in the 1960s.
Wow.
70s, early 70s.
How much was it?
16.9 cents a gallon.
It's more than that per ounce now.
Probably, yeah.
It's right now we're at the down the street. It's $2.99.
My
Divide that
dad
by
died.
16 ounces. That's 18.6 cents per ounce.
My dad died in 1973. In 1971, he bought a new Ford pickup. They had a gas war on. We drove 18 miles to Schussler's, Texaco in Vandalia, Missouri. They had it for 16.9, filled up 255-gallon barrels and every 5-gallon can he could get. Kept it in the garage. My mother liked to have a fit over it because they had all that gas in there, but he didn't buy gas for a long time.
Wow. Palmetto Cat said Josh should be a hand model. I heard he puts like I heard he puts like a glass jar. It's got a thing on it when he's
I
done.
was thinking something else altogether when that.
Oh God, Lyle! Wow.
Hand,
Stop it.
Hand model.
Different kind of hand model, Jeff. There, Lyle.
Yeah, maybe so.
Jeez, old Pete's.
Yeah, that's right, Mike Irvin. It was all full service. You didn't have to pump none of it. Now, if you chose to, because you was afraid somebody'd scratch your car, whatever, they didn't really care if you did it, but it was all full service. I worked at full service stations when I was growing up.
Did you?
Check the oil, wash the windows, anything they wanted checked, you checked. Tires, oil, anything. Didn't matter if they wanted it checked, you checked it, no extra charge. Yes, sir, buddy.
You would not have wanted to hear that.
Apparently, Danny Stone thinks it would have just sounded like me talking the whole time anyway.
Well, I mean, maybe. That's the mouth of the South, though, saying that. So that's like the rat call. That's like the rat calling the possum a long-nosed son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we are now ready to reassemble this. It's been blowed out. All the water is out of the passages. There's no water hidden anywhere in the carburetor.
That's good.
Everything's nice and clean. We've got a little bit up here that I don't care for.
That one guy has joined us.
Who? Who?
That one guy.
Which one?
That one right there.
Oh, that one guy. I got it. Okay.
All right.
I was wondering to see how long I could keep you going on that one.
Yeah, I remember white gas, Greg. I haven't seen any of it anymore. That's basically what the gas is that they sell at Walmart for home and stoves and stuff.
I was saying it's like camping fuel now. They use, yeah.
There's our carburetor gasket set. For somebody watching it later on, if you've got a Mercury, this is the 187005. There's the Mercury part number for that. Sierra makes a good gasket set. Gasket material is gasket material. So
as long as the holes are poked in the right spot.
Yep.
If I was buying something that needed, that had parts in it other than just gaskets, I'd probably lean towards buying the OEM Mercury. But as far as this goes, we got that. Let's see. There's our float bowl gasket. Our idle chamber gasket. That's this one we won't be using. This one, we won't be using today. This is the one that goes from the carburetor. It goes on the back of the carburetor where it hits the intake manifold. So that won't go on until we're putting this back on the board.
That's more for when it's mounting. When you're mounting.
That's for mounting.
Okay.
Yeah. That's probably your most important gasket in that whole set. Because if that doesn't get a good seal, you'll have a lean condition and you'll never figure out why. So let's start out by putting our float bowl back together. Let's get our floats and stuff out of
the. Excuse me. Randy Swain says the most important gasket is the one that you don't have.
That's true.
That is so true.
That is the one that you will mess up.
Or the one that you tore.
Yeah. All right, so that's all that there. We'll put our little divided bin away. Get you one of these if you're going to do carburetor work. You can tell this one's seen a lot of carburetor work. It's dirty, it's nasty, but it works.
That's all that matters.
So we can get, there's our needle seat. We're going to put us a Put this gasket on there. Just like that. It's going to drop down in there. And we'll tighten that down. There's just butted down. And we're just going a hair past hand tight. Just torque it down, but don't give it too much, because you're going to you'll end up chipping that off in there. Is that there? Those two spots there is where your carburetor or where your screwdriver has to hit. You break those, you're gonna have a bad day.
Yep.
So we get these. Get in there. And it should thread in there with 0 force. So if it starts to gum on the first or second thread, you've got it cross threaded. Just stop and back it out. Let it get a good grip. So there's hand tight. Can't even describe how little torque I'm putting on that. Just basically a fraction of an inch past hand tight. You don't want it backing out, and it's got to have some tension on it. But other than that, you're good. So we can take our needle now. There's our needle. That needle's going to hang on that tab.
It's so tiny. I don't know.
Just like that. We need our little bar for the float that goes through. And we're going to set it all down.
Grab that, Lyle.
Okay.
There we go. There's one. Let's get that screw put in so that that's not falling out. And again, just tighten her down a little bit past hand tight. Turn it upside down. Make sure nothing falls out. It doesn't. I know it's not going to be possible to hear or to see the float rise. Yeah, you can see it a little bit.
Yep.
So we're going to do the same thing with this other float. That needle, as long as it's hanging on there, it don't matter whether you go in from the left to the right or the right to the left. Does not matter. Get on there.
It wouldn't take long.
Oh, I needed a Tums.
You don't keep some on your desk?
Lyle, I'm in the middle of packing everything up, so they're in the other room.
All right. There's
I always got them. And in every vehicle I own.
Get off there.
I also had a pill that I take every night that nearly stops heart.
Mine comes and goes. It's weird.
All right, so
Times where it's every day I have to have it, and I'll go weeks without having to have it.
I understand.
All right. So we can see that our float is going down. We turn them upside down.
It's off camera. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. And see, they're both pretty well equally. They're falling down about equal. One's a little bit higher than the other, but not enough to.
And there is a setting on those floats.
There is a setting on the float.
If you're concerned about them in your carburetor kit, it'll come with a piece of paper that will tell you what the setting is on them, and usually a gauge to show you how to do it.
Yeah, usually you can go with a, like you'll sit there and you'll have that, and it'll be you'll have to have your feeler gauges out. But this one is We're actually going to change that one just a bit. I don't like I don't like how far that one's rising.
So you're gonna
We're gonna adjust that float. I'm just gonna bend it down just a bit. All right. That one will probably do it. That needle on there.
What's up, Catfish and Dreams?
Get in there. All right, now they're better. This one here was rising just a bit too much for me. I don't think it would have been enough to flood it, but since we're chasing an issue, that was enough there. Give me just a second. For whatever reason, my air compressor's not shutting off. Let me go shut it off manually real quick.
All right. Creole says a fogger nozzle will make that old mercury right up.
That's fact. And a button. Catfish and Dreams. Hey, buddy.
All right, there we go. And let's change the camera for just a second.
Danny said the float was only 1/1000th of an inch off. Josh's OCD was kicking in.
Danny's not too far off. All right, so you got your float with them in the down position. Fuel will come in. When they rise, it shuts the fuel off. Like I said earlier, there's your fuel inlet. I'm going to try to get this up by the... Tell me if you can hear it. You should be able to hear air coming through it.
Yep.
Okay. Now we'll turn that. Now as I'm doing that, I'm going to turn it and it should stop. Yep.
Shuts right off.
That's all it is. I guarantee somebody's having fun right now getting screenshots of that.
I was going to say something, but I just passed because I'm a nice guy.
You know what? It's just I would expect that one. So
I will say,
have fun with it. But there's no other way. There's no other good way to test make sure your float's working.
Chad, you thought I was kidding about the gas wars. Greg Burgess says in his senior year of high school, he worked at a service station. It was an ESCO station. Premium gas was 32 cents a gallon.
Wow.
Told you.
You can trust crazy. Your car to the station with the star.
Right.
All right. There's that.
Seems like when I first started driving, I think the most expensive stuff was $1.09.
I remember when I started driving, you buy a pack of smokes or a gallon of gas. Didn't matter. It's 35 cents. Fill up the car on Friday night. Cost you $6 or $8. Drive all weekend.
Man, I think the cheapest I probably ever bought it was around 75 cents a gallon.
I'd take that tomorrow.
I'd take that now. I tell you.
I tell you, to be honest, they could still sell it for 75 cents a gallon and make a profit. It's just not the raping profit they're making now.
Yep. Well, most of it's state and federal tax. So,
A high percentage of it is now.
all right. So I got our bowl gaskets in. We're going to drop that down into place.
All those taxes, convenient taxes. I want to tax it. Whatever tax they added on to.
Taxes it gets me is the ones they get at hotels and stuff. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Chad, you remember that far back? I barely remember the late 90s.
All right, so there's that.
Yeah, not quite, Austin.
Now, I don't ever dip the screws in the carburetor dip. You probably could if you wanted to. It ain't going to hurt anything, but I've never seen a reason to.
Neither.
So we're going to start. I'll turn this where you guys could see it. All I'm going to do right now is just get these screws started. That way I know I'm not tearing up my gasket at all. And I'm going to work.
I was going to ask if you...
We're going to work in a cross pattern.
Opposites, yeah, cross pattern.
Go back over here for that one. And this one here. And so now all those are in. We can start snugging them down.
Yeah, just because taxes.
I'm just going to snug them up a little bit. Work around kind of in a circle.
Creel says the second engine I had in my old high school truck couldn't run regular gas. It used aviation fuel.
Oh man,
There's a reason for that.
Crop dusters.
There is a reason for that.
I wonder how much compression that was running.
More than what it wants today.
Uh-huh.
Chris, is that the wind still blowing like it was this afternoon or this morning? Because it seemed like it was getting worse and worse all day long.
Those are all snug down now.
Creel, we used to just drive out to the airport where in town I lived in and back up the pump. The old lady that run the airport just let you fill your car up with it. Wasn't no big deal.
They had airplanes when you were growing up?
Oh yeah. They also for a long time they let us race out there on the runway, but
yeah, they were called pterodactyls back in his day.
Somebody got a case of red ass about it, made us quit.
How are the ginger
snaps? That joke's so old. Last time Lyle heard it, he laughed so hard he fell off his dinosaur.
Literally.
Rode over and took a big old poo.
All right, so let's put our jet back in.
That 11-3-1, is that before or after you shave the bottom of the heads off?
All right, little punk.
What's up, DHA?
Let's see if that'll go. I'm not convinced. I'm not cross-threading that. Oh, there it goes. All right, so there's one. Let's put the other one in. It being brass, don't, if you think you're cross-threading something, take it loose, check it, double check it. The only thing it costs you up until that point is time. Once you break it, it costs you money.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more time because you got to wait for it because all these things are special order now. Let's sit zoomed in.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll put our little gasket over here. Seal
Hey,
that
Dave.
up.
Double Hook Angling Dave has joined us.
That goes in the side right there. And back that up just a bit. There we go.
For you guys to get up early on Friday mornings, Dave will be going live, tying jigs for everybody.
So we just
tying maniac.
tighten it down until it bottoms out. Just a little bit. So we got our jet in there. Drop our gasket on.
That explains a lot, Austin.
Oh man, that's nasty.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you though, leaded gasoline used to smell a lot better than unleaded.
Oh yeah, but none of it smells as good as Cam 2.
So we got that.
Or VT.
Let's put our idle jet covers on. Need a different socket for that. Need a 7/16. So, all this is, it's nothing fancy. This is just a cap. We're gonna put our gasket on.
Night, Benoit.
Tighten it down. And just a little past.
Good night, Benoit.
If you don't want to go too far because you'll rip that paper gasket up. So we got that. We got the thing. I didn't realize we'd gone over 8 o'clock now, so we're
9 o'clock, dude. Come on.
It's 8 o'clock in real world.
You said this is from what engine? A Mercury 150?
This is from a 1986, I believe. Mercury 150 XR2. And people see that if you're looking at motors later on and somebody tries to tell you XR2 is a racing motor or something, just laugh at them when they say it. The only thing that XR2 stood for was it was the 2.0 liter block that they were using for the 150s. The new engines had a 2.4, and they made an extended run, so an XR of the 2.0, and that's how that got that name. But people see it, they're like, oh, it's a racing motor. No, it's not. It's a lot of things, but a racing motor isn't one of them. So we got our cover for our idle mixing circuit. Like I said, all that's good and clean. All those little passages that we showed at the beginning, double check those, make sure they're clear. And we're going to start getting this thing. We're going to have to put one screw in it to get it started.
J&B says, I heard Tim the Tool Man coming out of you, Josh.
I'm okay with that. I like him.
Me too. That was a great show.
I love to. That show.
Chad would make a good owl, too.
Really? I was going to say Lyle would make a good, what's his neighbor's
Wilson,
name?
yeah.
Wilson?
Yeah, but Lyle couldn't. Lyle ain't going to be able to look over no fence.
Exactly. I said I was going to say Lyle would make a good Wilson, but he would be able to see over the fence.
Live emojis.
All right, so we're gonna we're just gonna go around, work around in a kind of a crisscross pattern.
Yeah, and everyone will get them in order.
Snug them down. Doing it in a crisscross pattern will keep that thing going on straight, nice and flush.
Danny says, I've been on Dunnigan's boat. It's a freaking racing motor in my world.
That's my 200, Danny. That's a difference.
There's still pee in the seat where I was.
You know what's funny is I have still not opened that boat up fully with Danny on it yet.
Oh, man. You might not get the opportunity.
I need to take him for a wild ride out there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Take a roll of paper with you.
Yep. All right. So we now have the top carb. We got one thing. We got one. Wait, come back here, little thing. We got one thing left to do. What's today's date? 9/2.
9/2/24.
2/24. 9/2/24. And we're going to mark them on the bottom too.
Yeah.
That way, when you forget how long it's been since you've done the carbs, you can go find it.
And you wonder why you're having trouble.
Yep. Mark it the same spot every time. That way you know
what did I do wrong that time. Oh.
Top and bottom. So there's fresh new carb. There's the bottom carb. So that's what these started out looking like tonight.
Wow, it's a big difference, ain't it?
Huge difference.
Let's zoom out. Yep. Whee. Big difference in how they're looking. So hopefully it's going to solve our problem.
Yeah, you get the other two done and back on. So you get the other two done. How long does it take you to put those back on, Josh?
Half an hour maybe.
Well, that's not too bad.
Then you have to since they're linked, there's a little bar that goes across all these throttle cams, and it links all those carbs together. And you gotta do what's called a link and sync. Most of the time, just doing carbs, you're not going to have to actually adjust anything, but you want to check it. And it's a matter of checking timing. When I put those back on, I'll do that timing check, and I'll do that as a video on my channel for anybody that's wanting to know how to do that. Because there's an easy way. There's a real easy way to do it. You don't have to have it on the water, and you can still see what it's going to where the ignition's at on at wide open throttle. So
there you go.
Make camera change back over real quick. There we go.
Awesome.
Well, Josh, great job on that carburetor.
Just strap Danny in and send it.
That's what I'm talking about. Let me get out there with a video camera, though.
How many Ugga Duggas on the torque spec? It's aluminum and brass. It's about and that's it.
Ugga Dugga.
Just a
Ugga.
Now, if it's steel, you Ugga Dugga and you send it till it won't turn no more. And if you don't like the person, you put red Loctite on before you do that. Loctite, was it 272 or something, 275, something like that? I know it's the red stuff.
Yep, red stuff.
The red stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it does need a good cleaning out. I actually had it good and clean not too long ago, and then we had to move a bunch of stuff around. So
yeah, let's not forget to hit that thumbs up. We definitely appreciate that. So,
woo.
All right. Anything else to close us out there with on that one, Josh?
I think that's going to about do us. I did get some submissions for the bragging board kind of at the last minute today, but it'll all work. They'll all be in for next week anyway. I didn't have time to do a board today. I was trying to get everything cleared out to get these carburetors pulled off the motor and dig out all my stuff to do carburetors with, because it's not something that I do every day. So they don't.
Yeah.
That's not tools that stay handy in the garage. I got to go hunt them down usually. So
I understand.
I think the last carburetor I did was probably the one in on Parker's boat.
That's been a few minutes.
Danny, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to do that. No way.
I'm going to assume that Lyle has nothing further to say.
I'm thinking that Lyle might have had an issue.
All right. Well, make sure you guys tune in throughout the week. There's a show pretty much every night on various YouTube channels. I hope you have a blessed week, and thank the heavens today was the unofficial end to pleasure boating season. That just makes everybody's week so much better. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Take care.